The Super Media Bros podcast is a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
You're making it off at your...
Super Media Bros.
You are now listening to 103.5 Super Media FM. You've been in the dark for way too long. It's time to walk into the light and accept your fate with open arms. Scared? Don't worry. We are too, because we can't afford the lawsuit from copyright infringement. I'm not kidding. We really fucking can't. That's why we're reading it instead. Welcome to episode 207 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Special Delivery Dev.
We really can't afford that lawsuit.
No, we can't. How many of you motherfuckers have bought a shirt? How many?
Exactly. We can't make it through this lawsuit because you didn't buy our merchandise.
Get your asses up and go fucking buy some goddamn merch.
Yeah, because if you bought the merch, we could actually play the music for you.
Yeah, motherfucker.
If you haven't figured it out by now, we are going to be talking about The Weeknd's new album, Dawn FM, which is the direct follow-up to his, what, in my opinion, is his fucking magnum opus, After Hours.
Yeah, same. After Hours to me is his best, followed by Kissland. And honestly, I would say this. This is the third best.
Yeah, and in my mind, these are different. I could sit here and be like, okay, let's rank all his shit, but the way that I'm weird about this, the way that I look at certain albums and projects from artists, I will separate eras.
Okay, yeah.
Which, by the way, he's mentioned that this is the middle piece of a trilogy.
Right.
So I am taking the entire After Hours and Dawn FM phase as an entirely different thing. Because consider all the musical departures that he started with on After Hours, and it's still continuing forth with this album. Very 80s retro influenced, synthesizer heavy, psychedelic, new wave, funk, electronic dance. There's all kinds of shit in here. And I mean it, like, from After Hours until Dawn. Dawn FM is a very well done follow-up, and dare I say, a lot of people probably wouldn't think this, but it's a little darker.
Yeah, you don't expect that, but there are particular different tracks that really enhance that.
Yeah, it's all an interpretation. I mean, even he has said that. Like, he said that this could be uplifting or it can be, like, dark.
Right.
But I really feel like, just given from both the visual aspect of his presentation from the Amazon Music live stream the night of the release of this record and the music videos for Take My Breath, Right Into Sacrifice, and then most recently Gasoline. Yeah, this is a little more of an acid trip than the character from the After Hours story, which that was wild all on its own.
Oh, yeah.
So getting into this, typically on an album review, we would go track by track and play you pieces of it, but this is so much more than just, hey, let's look at every track on here. This is kind of an experience, and I think, more in terms of concept. This is a concept album, as After Hours kind of was a concept album. I don't think he actually came out and said that it was, but my God, yes, it was. If you look at the music videos that he released, there was a story being told.
Correct, yeah.
And with this, it feels like it's a sequel, but also anthology. Does that make sense? Like, it's almost like this trilogy is going to be an anthology.
Yeah, I can see that. As far as just the album itself goes, my God, like, okay, this is After Hours doubled down. In my opinion, the production value is greater. The scope feels larger. It's more cohesive in the tone and vibe, the sound, everything. It feels more like a start middle, end. This is a complete picture. So it is hard to say that After Hours is better because you would think by all of those terms, but it's just like, to me, After Hours is just, that's just a completely different creature. You can't top that. But Dawn FM, dude, my God, was this good.
It comes very close to topping After Hours.
Like, dude, Kissland is just a classic, so it's hard for me to ever move that from number 2. But fuck, anybody who says Dawn FM is their favorite Weeknd album, period, I can't even argue.
Right. And I mean, we can start with the fact that when he put out the minute-long teaser where it was like, okay, I'm going to just show you who I worked with on this album. The moment Jim Carrey's name came up,
dude,
I was sitting there going, and this is before we knew anything of it being like, the concept is you're in a vehicle in purgatory waiting to pass through the gates, either to heaven or hell, but you're stuck in traffic, and this is the radio station that you're catching. I didn't even once think about any of that being a concept for what this was, nor did I ever expect Jim Carrey to be the fucking DJ in this story, but goddamn, is it just perfect?
He has a great radio voice, and I never thought about it until I heard this.
It's very Bruce Almighty-ish if you really think about it.
Yeah, now I hear it, yeah.
It's almost like, I know he's not, but it's like this weird, is he the Grim Reaper on the radio? Is he God? Is he this like misleading person? You know what I'm saying?
He's almost like condescending. Like he knows so much shit that you thought nobody knew about you. He saw what you did.
Yeah.
Scared? Don't worry.
Exactly. He's like, oh, don't worry. But, okay, so it opens with the title track, Dawn FM, and it's just a minute long, or a minute and a half, but I love the radio jingle. Like, by the time it gets there, you're like, holy shit, like, Abel just made his own radio jingles, and he sings, like, I think there's, like, 2 more throughout the rest of the album. And they sound so cool, and that brought me back to growing up in radio stations, like, legitimately being in them. Because, like, my father was in radio for 20-something years, so I grew up around all that shit. So I got a real heavy nostalgia trip just on that. So I'm already like sucked into the concept of this album. And it kicks off with what I think is probably my actual favorite track on this album. And there's a lot of great songs on here. And I feel like it's mostly just the way it starts, the verse melody, and everything about it. Gasoline. It's very trippy. It's very mesmerizing. And it's one of the tracks on here that you couldn't have put any track at this point more perfectly than this one. It gets you absolutely ready for what the rest of this is going to be. And it definitely takes you on a ride. It's that the way I equated him being in purgatory, this is the ride to like purgatory where you're like, what the fuck? You know? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because, okay, the first time I listened to it, because I waited until it dropped. Over here where we live, it was 11 p.m. And whenever it did the Dawn FM intro, at that moment I was like, okay, so this is more or less exactly what I thought it was going to be. And it's The Weeknd. He has never done anything bad. So I'm gonna listen to this with open expectations, see what this is. But I was a little nervous just because, like, unlike you, I didn't have the radio station nostalgia. So I was like, okay, is this going to be the one where I'm like, this is great, but not for me? The minute this track started, though, I was like, okay, all right, now I get it.
Yeah, and the song, which I should point out, this album was also co-produced by, I'm probably going to screw his last name up, Daniel Lopatin or Lopatin.
You fucked it up.
I'm sure I did. He was the one of the main composers on the Uncut Gems score, and he also worked with Abel on After Hours. And you can tell by all the synthesis, like the glassy tones in the synthesizer. Well, he's all over this one too, as far as just production work. And
dude, and it sounds so good.
Dude, this is Gasoline is absolutely like a UK pop rap track. Like it's very
Okay.
80s United Kingdom pop rap. And I love the shit out of it, dude. It got some new wave kind of tones in there too, but the lyrical content is about a relationship with a female who is your crutch and support system for your drug problems. And it's very apparent if you just really pay attention to the lyrics.
Which is, to your point earlier, like, it's so uplifting, but it's so dark.
Yeah. And I got to point out how at least the first 5 tracks bleed into each other very well.
Oh my god, dude. The transitions in this album are so fucking clean.
Yeah, the sequencing is fantastic because it bleeds right into How Do I Make You Love Me, which that's a great fucking song right there. It's definitely like high on my list as far as like songs that are standout tracks on this one. Because again, I can't sit there and go, oh, this album sucks. To me, there's not a bad song.
No.
There's always like on these records, especially this one and After Hours, there's always like really stand out, really fucking good to this song is great. It's not even like, oh, this song is like least great. It's like, this song is great. Oh, this song is really great. You know?
Yeah. It's so good, man. Like everything. I've been listening to it on repeat, and that's how good everything transitions. You've got every single track bleed into the next, and it's just a circle. In fact, the opening for Dawn FM, it begins and ends with the same little bird chirping.
Yeah.
So you can listen to this album on repeat over and over again.
Endlessly, yes.
It's so fucking good.
And track 3, How Do I Make You Love Me, is the second collaboration between The Weeknd and the Swedish House Mafia, which the Swedish House Mafia, I love these guys so much. Big name in the EDM scene and just world renowned. And that's the other thing, dude. I feel like the Swedish House Mafia, they're one of those artists where like if they work with you, you're somebody. That's kind of how Daft Punk was.
I was about to say that's the vibe that Daft Punk gave in 2016.
Is like if they're working with you or you approach them and you want to work with them and they're like, yes, you have made it. You're somebody, you're important. They didn't work with just anybody. They only worked with people that they knew were going to make some fucking magic happen. That's why that duo was so renowned. And that's why Starboy was such a great fucking song.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. That video has a shit ton of YouTube views, and the damn robots were on a painting. They were on a fucking painting, dude. But everybody knew that they produced the track. There you go. Swedish House Mafia is not, like, to me, they're not as big as Daft Punk is, but they are so goddamn well-known and huge that you put them on your track, you got magic happening, man.
Yeah, and in fact, I don't even know if they're that well known, but they're so well respected.
That's the thing.
It's like you don't even have to have listened to any of their music, but you know that name.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking super group.
Yeah.
Because the 3 of the dudes individually are already fucking awesome, but put together, it's like, god damn. And then this one bleeds over into Take My Breath, which came out in August last year.
God damn, has it been that long?
Yeah, man. It was like the song of the summer. Like, in my opinion, it was. And
fuck.
Yeah, man. And Take My Breath had that psychedelic disco feel to it. Like, as soon as it started with the fucking guitar, like, raking and the, palm muting, I got, like, legitimate, like, 70s, like, oh my God, yes.
What gets me is that the song on its own was already great, but for some reason, the extended cut in the context of this album made it feel so much bigger.
And that's what I love about shit like this is the radio single only gives you like, what you need to hear in a short amount of time. If you think about the fact that the radio version cuts 2 whole minutes out of this song, it's unbelievable because like you said, in context with the rest of the concept that this album has presented, Take My Breath is that much more like chill inducing to me, like with the instrumental portions of it. And coupled with the range in which Abel is singing like the real high, the
falsetto.
Yes. And oh God, it's so well done. And the lyrical content, again, it's about autoerotic asphyxiation, dude.
Fucking dark.
Yeah. That's what makes me laugh. It's very Donna Summer sounding, but choke me, daddy. You know? Choke me, Donna.
Fuck.
It is the song of the Donna Summer, if we're going to go there with it. But it goes into Sacrifice, which the music video does the same thing as on the album. Like Take My Breath music video goes into the Sacrifice video back to back.
Yeah. In fact, we watched both videos side by side.
Dude, yeah, it's another Swedish House Mafia track, which if you saw the alternate video for this, did you see the alternate video for this one?
No, I don't think so.
It's really fucking cool, dude, because it's a lot of homage to like black ballroom culture from the 1980s, and a lot of that sound that Abel's using right now. It's really a lot of stuff that gets overlooked, and it's important. You know, it's the video showcases a lot of like black, queer, and trans art forms from like the community from that time, and it's really important. Like there's a lot of, you know, it's back when you just rolled in and you fucking danced, and that was your art, and a lot of that shit was just happening, and it was groundbreaking, and it was so fucking influential to the music. Like the dancing was influencing the fucking music, because that's how like disco and
jazz too.
Well,
right?
yeah, jazz too, but like for that time period, like Four on the Floor, just think about in terms of like beat. If you could get people on the dance floor moving to something, you were doing it right, because when the people were coming out and vibing and just dancing, when the dancing starts influencing how you're about to fucking like play whatever next, like say you're clubbing and you're DJing or some shit. This is, you know, in that time period. Or if you're a band, if you see the crowd moving a certain way, you're more apt to move to them. And that is a fucking vibe, dude. And the shit that they were doing in that video was just so cool. And then just the music itself. This song also has a lot of Michael Jackson influence, dude. Like, Wanna Be Starting Something. Remember when I was like, man, this song sounds like the intro to that.
Yeah.
And then Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. There's that influence there. And a lot of people do compare The Weeknd to Michael Jackson.
Shit, I was doing that talking about this album earlier, and how whenever the, what was it, 1991 album Dangerous?
Yes.
Okay, it was 91. Okay. So when that came out, everybody kind of shit on it and was saying, oh, this is too dark. This album's too long. We want the old Michael. They weren't taking it for what it was and what it is going to do moving forward for music. They took it for granted. And that's what I think this is going to do.
Oh, yeah, dude. Dangerous is probably like it, and it's not easy to pick the greatest Michael Jackson album.
No.
But Dangerous is probably one of his greatest albums. Like next to Thriller, one of his greatest albums.
Thriller, to me, it goes Thriller, Bad, and then Dangerous.
Yeah, like
I think that's fair.
You could not fuck with Michael Jackson in the 80s. My God, even Off the Wall, dude. Off the Wall is just fucking revered by anybody that wants to even do that kind of music today.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. People wanted him to go do Off the Wall. Same with how a lot of people in the EXO community want Abel to go back to the trilogy. And he has even said he doesn't want to do that.
No, because that was something he did 3 or 4 albums in a row. Dare I say 5 almost.
Yeah.
You know, The Weeknd cannot make Haunted Stripper Club music forever.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, influence, man. Like, okay, so The Weeknd influenced what R&B is today, right?
I would dare say so.
Just like how Michael Jackson revolutionized pop. And then he did it again. Because after Dangerous, New Jack? Fucking, come on.
Yeah, New Jack Swing was like a big fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that man. It didn't matter like, oh, I'm going to do this and this is going to be a thing. He wasn't going to do that again on the next record.
Right. So whatever, dude, give it time. There are so many albums out there that it just takes time for you to get accustomed to.
Mm-hmm. Now, the song Sacrifice cuts into what you and I actually sat down and were like, you know what? It seems like The Weeknd just needed his own Giorgio by Moroder, as Daft Punk did on Random Access Memories. So we get what is it?
A Tale by Quincy
A Tale
Jones.
by Quincy. Yeah, and it's Quincy Jones. And for those of you out there that don't know who Quincy Jones is, I feel sorry for you, because speaking of Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones produced Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad, and he is one of the biggest record producers that has ever lived. The man has worked with Frank Sinatra,
Shit.
Michael Jackson, like several film scores, soundtracks. It's unbelievable. But there's a lot of his sound actually on this album. It's not even so much that he's producing it. The influence is there. Kind of how in Giorgio by Moroder, the song sounds exactly like a Giorgio Moroder produced track. A lot of the stuff on here sounds like Quincy Jones had done gone and did it again, which again, it lends itself to the following song, Out of Time. That is a perfect example of something that Quincy would have done in the 70s and 80s.
Dude.
What a song too, man.
That song was beautiful.
That should be, by all intents, a single off of this album.
And that right there is the one question I have about this album. Because, okay, we can ask, oh, what's the next album going to be? How is that going to do? I'm curious about how this album will do in terms of radio. Because aside from Take My Breath, Out of Time, maybe Best Friends, maybe, there aren't singles. This is an album, and that's its strength.
Yeah, I mean, even though the official singles on here are Take My Breath, Sacrifice, and Gasoline. Those are like the 3 singles that have been released to radio. But
Which is interesting.
you wouldn't, I was going to say on first listen, you would pick Take My Breath, obviously, but maybe Sacrifice. You definitely, nobody in their right mind would go and pick Gasoline. However, it's just crazy enough to work as a single because the hook is so goddamn good.
Right.
Now, if I were doing singles, definitely Out of Time, and we'll eventually get to what I would pick as another single because it's all at the fucking end of the album. But Here We Go Again is a song that is more power ballady, I guess, for this one, because this is the point where, if I'm not mistaken, like it's somewhere in the next couple of songs where Jim Carrey comes back and he's talking about how, you're gonna listen to some slow jams for the next 30 minutes or some shit.
Dude, it's just like, it's hard to pick though, because this album, it's almost cinematic. You almost have to listen to it beginning to end.
You really do, and that's what I love about concept records.
Yeah.
It makes you listen to the story because, sure, some of these songs are great on their own, but if you really want a bigger picture, context is everything.
Absolutely.
What'd you think about Tyler, the Creator's spot on this one?
That was actually really good. And I don't even say that like as a negative to Tyler, the Creator, but it was a collaboration I wasn't expecting, but I really enjoyed it.
I did too, because I'm funny about The Weeknd and having features on his songs unless it is mentioned that it's gonna be a duo thing, like how him and Post Malone just had their single together. Fucking excellent.
Yeah.
It's odd because for me, The Weeknd and Post Malone work well together because they both are like singing, kind of, mostly singing. It's just odd for me to see The Weeknd and then like having rap verses on his shit.
Right. Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely will. But let's go to Best Friends. Another great song.
To me, this is my personal favorite. That might cycle through because all of the songs are great. But just right now, that's the song that I'm vibing to.
And like we said at the top of it, it's just however you're feeling.
Yeah.
And that's another one that has that Jones feel to it as well.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Which this one, we keep saying this over and over again, but it really does. And I love that this one bleeds into Is There Someone Else? Because this song is actually very much a companion piece to Best Friends.
I was about to say, it feels like a continuation of those thoughts.
I'm Rob.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
I love it.
I think it's kind of meh.
And I've never seen it.
We're keeping up with the Cardassians.
A podcast covering 7 seasons of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
But that's not it. We go down the wormhole.
Of pop culture, life, and Garrick
New episodes every Monday.
on your favorite podcasting platforms. You can also interact with the show on Twitter at CardassiansPod.
And just like the Ferengi, we can't wait to stroke your lobes.
Starry Eyes is another one that is a pretty good standout, but it's very calm. There's like nothing to it. It's almost instrumental. Well, I'd say instrumental. There's lyrics, but there's no like real backbeat or any kind of thing to it. It's just like a floaty track.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it'll be a single, but I think the hardcore fans will really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the point of Best Friends is There's Someone Else, and Starry Eyes is kind of its own little trio of songs that builds into the very, very entertaining infomercial, commercial, whatever the fuck it is for Every Angel is Terrifying. I was tripping balls. I think you said about the same thing too. I was tripping balls when I heard this one because I got so lost in the sauce of the music. I didn't expect this to be a thing, although I should have seen it coming a mile away because it's a radio show technically.
Dude, I was at this point with Starry Eyes being as calm as it was late at night. I had worked that morning. I was going to work the next morning. I was like not dozing off in a bad way, but I was just floating.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this shit happens. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Bruh, I straight up sat up like that fucking Mr. Krabs meme. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yup.
Where he's just like dazed and confused, just looking around, don't know what's going on. Yeah, like I was fucked up, man.
And we are, well, not just we, but I feel like the entire EXO community is in on this one too, where the product they're advertising is Afterlife, which the way they do it is goddamn hilarious because they're just like intense, graphic, sexy, euphoric, provocative, edgy, thought-provoking. And critics say Afterlife makes your current life looks like a total comatose snooze fest. It's action-packed, the future of everyone's fate. Nigel and Frank call it a fucking classic. Like the way they bleep out fucking on it.
In a Weekend album, no less.
Yeah, but you know they're like, oh, it's a radio commercial. It's got to be like that. But that's what makes it funny.
Right.
And interestingly enough, they give you an 800 number to call.
1-800-444-4444.
Yeah, but it's one of the, I can't remember what they call the number, but it's basically a number that will tell you the number that you're calling from. It's something that has been around for fucking years, dude.
Wasn't it like MIC or some bullshit? I don't know.
I think it's called an automatic number announcement circuit.
Motherfucker, we're going to call it on the air. Fuck it. And I don't care what the result is. You keep this shit in.
Thank you for calling MCI. Our system indicates you are calling from 337.
Everybody give Devin a phone call after this episode is over with.
Motherfucking just doxed myself.
You told me to leave it in.
Well, bleep that part out, you bitch.
But yeah, we feel like the next album is going to be Afterlife.
Oh yeah, I think it's almost guaranteed. I mean, even if you look at the themes of this one, the whole thing is that it is in purgatory. So, what is purgatory?
Yeah, and
purgatory is where you are before heaven or hell, which is your afterlife.
And I have to believe, again, going back to the whole direct continuation, I have to believe that this album is a direct follow-up to After Hours because the last song on After Hours is Until I Bleed Out.
Exactly.
This motherfucker dies.
Dude, that's what I had said, or that's what I had thought to myself, but I forgot to mention.
Yeah, and then the character in the red suit and everything, if you look, again, it's different than the way the album plays out, but if you look at the way the character's arc plays out on the singles, he shoots himself in the head with a gun at the end of the Save Your Tears video. Even though it pops off like confetti, I think it's meant to be a symbolism piece.
Yeah, it was the end of the party.
Mm-hmm. So maybe this is him being like, maybe I fucked up.
Yeah.
Maybe I fucked up. And then this one moves into Don't Break My Heart, which you know, that's a good track too. Like, I'm not trying to like skim over it, but I heard you're married. Now, there's a lot going on with this song. A lot of people, I'm included on this one, a lot of people think that lyrically is a direct reference to Ariana Grande. Because when they did their Save Your Tears collaboration, there was some rumors going around that they were kind of a thing, but she was most definitely engaged to her now husband. And so these lyrics and the time frame that lines up makes a fuckload of sense.
Well, fuck her and her mans. Abel deserves all the women.
That's right. And not only did we get The Weeknd on this, and we got motherfucking Lil Wayne, which was another surprising collaboration.
Yeah, okay.
And Calvin Harris as a producer on this track, by the way.
That's true. Okay, so how do you feel about this track? Or let me rephrase that. How do you feel about Wayne's verse?
It's aight.
Yeah, okay. So the words that he said, I was like, okay, all right, I fucks with this. This is like classic Lil Wayne.
Yeah, it sounds like it would have been on his like Carter 4 or 3, maybe.
Yeah. And that's my problem with it. This is really the only nitpick I have of the entire project, is that he didn't fit with that flow.
Okay, let's just go ahead and use a wrestling term. He went into business for himself on this one.
Yeah, and here's what I said, speaking of wrestling. Every Wednesday, myself and a group of friends get together and watch AEW Dynamite. Right before the show, we were talking about the album, and I had said this. Abel went with Lil Wayne because he wanted to work with him. He's a legend in the business, but he probably even knew, probably not the best beat for him. Now, if you put Kanye on that same beat, I think that verse would have been fucking killer.
And as much as I have like a love-hate thing with Kanye West, because a lot of the listeners probably know I have bought 3, 4, because I did get Donda because I thought it was interesting. Now, his first 2 albums, I love his first 2 albums, and I really liked 808s and Heartbreak. I still think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is his best album. Still is his best album.
I'm more of a Yeezus guy, but
to each their own.
Yeah, that's just the experimental side to
right,
it.
that was him trying to be Nine Inch Nails, and I can respect that.
Yeah.
But I agree. And considering the fact that Abel actually cut a verse on Donda, I agree with you on that one. This would have been a nice little, okay, I owe you one. Let me come do a verse on your album.
Right. He even referenced Dawn in Donda.
Yep. Donda. But yeah, I don't hate it.
No.
And it's only because like I feel like Wayne maybe took a little more than he added. But that, again, that's my only nitpick, just like with you.
Yeah.
Other than that, fuck.
I don't even skip the track.
No, fuck no. You don't. You can't really skip any track on this one.
No. Like, that's the thing is like, it's the least great of this album.
Let's go to the track that I thought would be a great single, Less Than Zero. This is the second one I thought would be a great single.
That is a good pick. Okay.
It's got the Blinding Lights drum feel to it, but it's like Blinding Lights light. You know what I mean? Where it's got the same tempo, but it's got that, feel to it. And it has a single feel to it. A great track. And one thing I did notice about this album, is it just me or do the songs feel really short?
It feels that way. In fact, every time I listen to it, I look at like their run times and I'm like, it's not.
It's a 52-minute album, dude, and it's got 16 tracks. However, I want to say 3 or 4 are either skits or in between pieces. Like, like the Tale by Quincy and the Dawn FM opener or the
Phantom Regret.
Yeah, Phantom Regret, which is the close. God, let's get to that one in a second. And, Every Angel is Terrifying. I was trying to think of the other one. But yes, let's get to Phantom Regret by Jim.
Bruh, did Jim write these bars?
Yes.
Bruh.
Bars. He's listed as a writer on this one, so I would assume, well, he's one of 6 writers on this one, and I would assume, musically speaking, the other people were writing. I would assume that Abel and Jim collaborated on the wordplay and the words of this. But dude, I'm going to go ahead and say something that I know for a fact has been said by a lot of other people. Man, Jim didn't have to go that hard on this.
Bruh.
But he did.
He did, dude. Because, like, whenever it first started and I saw the title of the track and everything, I figured this was going to be a Jim exclusive. But I was also in my mind like, yeah, but it's a Weeknd album. Like, Abel's got to chime in, right? He didn't have to. This was a great closer.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's essentially Jim as the DJ giving almost a eulogy.
Kind of, yeah. And it also goes full circle because he, by himself, did the intro.
Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much like a DJ opening and closing his radio gig.
Yeah. See,
it's almost like the Jerry Springer Final Thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, there we go. A reference I understand now because I didn't have the DJ background and all that shit.
Right.
So this has all been like uncharted territory for me.
Right.
But okay, that makes so much sense.
What were your thoughts on it as a whole, though?
The track?
Yes.
It was almost like it's exactly what the album is, dude, where it's uplifting, but it's like, shit, I shouldn't feel uplifted by this.
It's very haunting.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
I don't even know, man, because whenever I listened to it, it gave me the same feeling that the film Logan did, where it's so heavy and dense, but also you feel so satisfied. Like, it's like, whenever it finally ended and you hear the birds chirping, you breathe. And it's like, wow. You know, that's the feeling I got.
Yeah, I don't know any other way to say how much I love this album as a whole.
Dude, it was excellent. Like, this is a 5-star album to me.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's gotten amazing reviews. I mean, fuck, dude, it's got a 4 out of 5 from Rolling Stone. Damn near 8 and 9s out of 10s all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 80s out of 100, 9s out of 10s. I mean, and this is coming from like Pitchfork, The Times, you know, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, Exclaim, like all these, you know, Metacritic. The Metacritic score is 89 out of 100 on it.
And I don't even know what does he have to do to get 100? Like, good God.
I'm actually going to see what his ratings were for After Hours, because now I'm kind of seeing, like, I'm interested in seeing what the comparison.
Yeah, because, like,
dude, it was an 80 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Really?
It was a 3.5 out of 5 on Rolling Stone.
Bullshit.
I'm looking at it right now.
Wow.
This album, it's really weird because, you know, it had a lot of positive reviews and everything, but God, Dawn FM has like almost universal acclaim from everybody. And it's so weird retrospectively to see that because of how important I think After Hours is as an album in our
culture.
Right now, it's an important album in the music industry, which oh my God, like I don't even want to dwell or get into his fucking Grammy snub because fuck
fucking
them.
Bullshit.
Yeah, because like really fuck them for that. That album deserved every goddamn award that it had coming to it.
Dude, because to me, that album is perfect. I wouldn't alter a single thing.
No, you can't. No, you shouldn't. It's how it is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and as far as like Kissland versus Dawn FM, to me, which is actually kind of funny because when you really look at it, even though Dawn FM is clearly a sequel to After Hours,
it's almost a spiritual successor to Kissland, dude.
Exactly. Like just the experimentation and him finally looking at everything at his disposal and being like, okay, now I can play. You know, like it was beautiful to see. And that goes to, you know, there's an expression like, you know, work hard, play hard. I feel like the After Hours was the work hard and this album is the play hard because like you can hear him smiling in some of these tracks. Right. But no. Kissland is just like, it's influenced by horror films and Japanese anime culture. So that's just a personal thing for me. Same way with how Dawn FM is personal for you because of your background.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and it's After Hours is kind of the same for me as well, only because if, like you said, it's like Kissland's influenced by Japanese anime culture and dark shit horror.
Yeah.
After Hours, you can't deny, was influenced by like Scorsese and like comic movies and shit.
Yeah.
Dawn FM almost feels like that real brooding horror. It's not like the violent horror, it's the what you don't see that's gonna fuck with you.
Right.
So in that regard, it fits. Like the aesthetic fits, the instrumentation fits, the production values all fit, the themes fit, the lyrics. I mean, it's able. He kind of writes dark material most of the time anyway, so you kind of expect it. I'm just curious as to what the next step is going to be. Do you want to go for what do you give this one if you're going to rate it out of a 10?
Oh, dude, 10. Like, easy.
Yeah. It's hard for me to ever say any album is perfect. I would give it like a 9.75, only because of the Wayne track.
Okay, you've got me on that one, yeah.
The Wayne track pulled that quarter star away. But it's not to say it sucks, because Jesus, like, it's high.
Everything else about that track even was great.
Yeah.
You just didn't care for Wayne's verse.
Right. And it doesn't kill the album entirely. It just is like, well, it's not perfect. No, nothing's ever going to be like extremely perfect, but this is about as close as you can get.
Right. Okay.
So that's really all I got to say about this album, unless you got anything else to add to it, sir.
Just wondering where we go from here, because there's so many fan theories. You know?
Yeah, I would venture to say Afterlife, and who knows how the aesthetic of that is going to look, because Abel is absolutely embracing the old man look, which I think is pretty fucking funny that he's put his face on every album cover, and if you've lined them up from start to this one, the evolution of this man is insane.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering, like, all right, on air, do you think Afterlife is his last album, not musically, but as the character and persona of The Weeknd?
I do not.
Okay. Because a lot of people are speculating.
I think that and they can keep speculating. I don't think that it is, dude, because you don't throw that IP away.
That is true. Whenever I read some of the theories, my first thought was the artist formerly known as The Weeknd.
He's just going to become The Week.
I was going to go with Abel, but okay.
He's like, I'm leaving The Weeknd behind. It's just The Week.
But I'm just saying, like, even though you can't throw that IP away, I totally agree. We know how much he was influenced by Prince. Hell, he was supposed to have collaborated with him before Prince passed on.
Correct.
So, I don't know. I can see it. I can visualize all of that happening. But financially, what is the better decision? But he's also an artist. He doesn't really care at this point. He has his money.
Well, yeah, he has his money, but I also think he's 30, dude.
Yeah.
30 or 31. He's still very young. There's no way he throws that aside. Not to mention, even if however many records he's got left on whatever contract he's signed. But
that's actually something I didn't even think about.
Yeah, but again, it's too much of a hot commodity. And I know they're totally different artists, but I mean, look at Brendan Urie using the Panic at the Disco name still, and he's just a solo act.
True, yeah.
No, I hate to say this. Who's going to go? Because if Abel throws the Weeknd persona away, he doesn't perform the Weeknd catalog anymore.
Yeah.
So nobody is going to go to a Brendan Urie solo concert in a giant arena. They're going to go to a Panic at the Disco concert in a giant arena.
Yeah, they want to hear Bohemian Rhapsody covers. They want to hear I Write Sins. They want to hear Death of a Bachelor, all that shit.
Yep. Everybody wants to go and fucking hear, like, Earned It. Everybody wants to go fucking hear Heartless. Everybody wants to go hear all the shit that this man has done for the last 6 releases, 7 coming on. But my God, yeah, you don't throw that IP away, period. I don't think he gets rid of the persona. he might kill the character on screen and part of this storyline, but I don't think the Weeknd name goes anywhere.
Well, he kills that character with every album.
Right. But he's even said as much where like Abel is who he is as a person and the Weeknd is just his persona dialed to 11 and just this whole ass other thing. We always equate it to how professional wrestlers, their on-screen characters are just their personalities amplified by a shitload.
Right. No, I can see that.
So that's just my thoughts on it, just from a musician's perspective.
Correct, yeah. And I'm just a fan. I never really made music, so I wasn't sure.
I mean, shit, if that's what you think, man, go for it.
Well, what you're saying makes more sense. I'm just saying, like, all the signs point to a different meaning.
Right.
Especially with the album cover of him being old. It's like, he's old, he's dying out, he's almost finished.
No, I understand that. I still think it's more or less just him like sinking into this persona. You know what I mean? He's living the persona right now in the story of this album. A lot of artists will do that. I mean, if you look at I know it's a really odd reference, but if you look at the Neighborhood's most recent release, they kind of looked like they changed their entire band's image. It's kind of how when the Beatles did Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club or whatever the fuck, they turned themselves into that band for that album.
Right.
When Pink Floyd did The Wall, they only toured the music of that album and did that album front to back with a giant goddamn wall, and they dressed up like the characters from the story of that album, but they still carried on.
Fucking Green Day with the Fox band.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name, but it's Fox something.
It's
Foxtrot, I think.
Yeah.
It was something goofy.
My Chemical Romance and the Black Parade.
Yeah.
You could name a shit ton of bands that have done something of the sort, but I think he's just, the word I'm looking for is immersing. He's immersing himself in this concept because The Weeknd is that kind of artist where he goes all or nothing. I mean, think about the whole the red jacket character thing. It's gone, but he was that for the every goddamn appearance that he had. He was in that fucking suit.
Dude, I loved that shit too, man.
I did too.
God.
But now we go from Red Suit Weekend to black leather, old man, creepy, like black goo nightclub.
Hearing aid.
Getting
with
the
fucking
shit.
ants.
Yeah, getting the shit beat out of him, and his face was so fucked up in that video. God, look, y'all go watch the music videos we've talked about. They're really great. And check this album out. It's literally everywhere. If you blink, you'll still see it because you can't miss this album.
Yeah.
Visit supermediabrospodcast.com to listen to past, present, and future episodes. Visit oddpodsmedia.com to check out Oddpods Media Network. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or Good Pods. You can actually leave individual ratings for individual episodes on both Podchaser and Good Pods. So go do that shit. Buy some merchandise, though.
Buy it so that we can do these fucking intros without copyright.
That's right. That's copyright. No, seriously, there's t-shirts, there's raglan tees, there are hoodies, there are face masks, there are fucking koozies. We have fucking Super Media Bros koozies on our merch
joggers.
store. Yes. Get some sweatpants on. Show that dick off.
I was thinking the same thing, bro.
I'm telling you. Show that Super Media dick off and be a Super Media hoe in our Super Media joggers. I'm glad we saved that for last. Could you imagine opening this with like, hey, we're going to talk about Dawn FM. Now go buy our fucking sweatpants so you can show that dick off.
You know what? That's exactly what the audience expects from us.
You're right. We probably should have put that at the beginning. Maybe we should do that next time. All right, we'll do it next time.
All right, cool.
Thank you guys so very much for listening to this episode. This was episode 207, Dawn FM. Until next week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Special Delivery Dev.
Shades on.
We're off.